So we're back at it with more Pokemon.
Yeah.
Happy Sunday Fun Day. We are going to dive into every flying type of Pokemon explained by Loxanagan.
All right, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Birds.
In this series thus far, we've answered many questions. Why are the Ice-type Pokemon icy? What sort of psychic abilities are the psychic Pokemon using? What fighting styles are the fighting types using? And what kind of rocks and metal are the rock and steel type Pokemon? And so on. And today, we're covering what may be the most difficult type of all. We've finally made it to the bird type. The flying type, I mean. Fun fact, did you know that there was actually going to be a bird type in the first gen before they changed it to flying? They realized at some point that more things can fly than just birds. But unfortunately, they seemed to have missed that memo in the Pokemon creation department. As such, most of the flying type Pokemon are just birds. Normal birds at that. Typical everyday birds. Which, don't get me wrong, that's totally okay.
You see them all in our backyard. Feed them all.
It makes this video a bit shorter because of what's about to happen. So to make everything simple, I'm going to have my good friend Rosini and his famous William Tell Overture help me out.
Nice.
Fantastic.
It's a bird, it's a bird, it's a bird, 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 it's a bird, it's a bird, it's a bird, 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 it's a bird, it's a bird, 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 still a bird. And this is bird, sword bird, 2 bird, bird times 3. See this bird, oh, it's just a tree. This bird makes deliveries. Just birds, who could they be? See this bird, it's a lizard, it's the first one with feathers at all. Look, this bird, it's
Lizard
very
bird.
small. In fact, it's not a bird at all. No,
Squirrel.
It fell from space, it's just a rock, but with a face. Look at Oricorio, its body changes with its place. It's a bat, it's a bat, it's a bat, bat, bat. What, you didn't think I'd come up with that? Here's 2 more, I guess they're bats, and that is all the bats. It's a bug, it's a bug, it's a bug, 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 it's a bug, it's a bug, it's a bug, 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 it's a bug, it's a bug, it's a bug, bug, bug. Oh man, there's a lot of flying bugs. And with that, I'm bored, and I can't sing, and that was difficult. Probably pretty hard to listen to also. So I'm just going to stop
No,
there
it's
and
a good job.
continue where I left
Way to
off,
commit.
but do a quick description of the song to start. Pretty much wherever I said it's a bird, that Pokemon is flying type because it's based off of some bird. And I mean, birds fly, grass grows, and brother, I heard people. And in the little music video, you saw the birds that they're based on. So you know all that now. But do you know what else flies? Bugs. A lot of them anyway, along with bats, who also fly, all giving them the
have to turn on
flying
the mic, I
type.
did.
The only Pokemon in the song that wasn't a bird,
glad
bug,
you
or
did.
bat was Minior, who was based off of a falling meteor. So, something that looks like it's flying, but really it's just falling. With style.
Yeah.
He's able to hover somehow.
Great reference.
So there's that. Some more of the Pokemon in the song deserve some extra details though, like Emolga is interesting. It's a Japanese flying squirrel. They have flaps of skin between their arms and legs that they use to glide from tree to tree. Not really flying, but close enough, I guess. Doduo and Dodrio are dodo ostriches that can still learn fly somehow. Tropius is a banana tree with massive leaves, so it's able to fly. Oricorio is interesting, not because it's a bird, but because of its different forms. It's basically based on the Galapagos finches that Charles Darwin used to develop his theory of evolution. Each island had different finches that suited that island perfectly. Similarly, each form of Oricorio is from a different Alolan island.
That's
Then
fun.
Archon and Archeops are interesting. They are based on the Archaeopteryx, which scientists point to as being the first real bird in existence, or at least the earliest known ancestor. Now, I mentioned Gliscor, and, well, it and Gligar just kind of glide. They are kind
Gligar
of
with his tongue out.
gargoyle-y, but probably took
Big
more
fat tongue.
inspiration from the scorpion fly. And yes,
Oh, no.
that is a real thing, and it is terrifying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see, that leaves us with about 1 million left. Oh boy, do I love flying types. They are all just so unique and interesting. Totally not boring and overdone at all. In fact, did you know that there's only one Pokemon that is flying type? As in, just flying type? Yeah, it's Tornadus. It makes sense though, as he's based off of the elemental god of wind. But come on, the only solo flying type? I mean, it likes to fly around a lot at 200 miles an hour,
And go
as
to
the
the
dex
gym.
boasts. But stat-wise, it's only the 36th fastest Pokemon. Anyway, Tornadus is the only flying solo type, and Noivern and Noibat, who you saw in the song, are actually the only first type flying Pokemon, meaning their
Noivern,
first
cool.
type is flying
Bad
instead
Wyvern.
of the second. So, in a way, they are more flying than the other flying types? For some reason? Anywho, They are bats, and then also a bat wyvern thing. They use
Yeah.
sound powers, as bats use echolocation to help them fly. Oh, and speaking of Tornadus again, Landorus and Thunderus basically follow suit, the elemental gods that fly around on clouds, thus flying type. But now, here are the birds I missed in the song. We've got Murkrow and Hauntcrow first up, and they are based on crows.
Murderous
Second
crow.
is Skarmory,
Great
who's based
hats.
off of a condor that they put metal plating on. Then we have Talo and Swallow, two birds that are based off of
Swallow,
swallows.
that's some
Next, we
side-eye.
have Starly, Staravia, and Staraptor, who are based off of the white-cheeked starling who grows up to be a mix of different birds of prey, otherwise known as raptors. Then we have Chatot, who is based off of a chatty parrot, mainly the collared lovebird.
Oh, yeah, and the music note.
No,
like,
as I said.
Both of these birds are known to mimic noises, just like Chatot. Man, how cool is that one feature where you would use the DS microphone to make Chatot say things? Yeah, it was nifty. Swablu and Altaria are sky blue birds with puffy cloud-like feathers, which just screams flying. Next up, we have Pidove, Tranquil, and Unpheasant, who are based off of two birds. Gasp! But these guys start off as basic lowly pigeons, or doves, whatever you want to call them. Doves are just white pigeons, who then evolve into a pheasant, a very colorful bird who has
Doves are
very
a lot
similar
cooler than
weird feathers along the face. And their sex does dictate their looks, just
Pigeons are
like
dicks.
many birds. In many species of birds, the males tend to have more extravagant colors, as that helps them attract mates. Ducklet and Swanna are a bit tricky.
Swanna.
Wonder what they could be based off of. Did you guess yet? Too late, it's a duck and a swan. These Pokemon follow the story of the ugly duckling, who turns out to be a beautiful swan because identity issues are real and no joke. Then we have Rufflet and Braviary, who are based off of the bald eagle, even though they have a full head of hair. Feathers. They also happen to be red, white, and blue, and its evolution, Braviary, is brave. And it lives primarily in Unova, which is based on New York, which is in America. Wake up, people. It's straight up America, the Pokemon. Their names in Japanese are Washibon, Washington, and Wargle, a war-loving eagle. The war-loving eagle is America. Hashtag woke. After them, we have Vullaby and Mandibuzz, who are in no such way related to America. Honestly, though, they were added much later into the development of Black and White. However, they are still based off of birds. The vulture, to be exact. They eat already dead things, hence the bones. Farfetch'd is a duck, a samurai duck using a leek as a sword.
Awesome.
Wait, does he have
Based
a
on
leek?
this famous Japanese saying,
Samurai duck that kills people with leeks.
translating to a duck comes bearing green onions. As a saying, it means something surprising, but convenient. Or perhaps something outlandish has happened, and it's a good thing.
Duck comes bearing
Like
green
a
onions. What a
far-fetched
great
tale.
phrase.
Then Hawlucha is a hawk luchador, based solely on the name anyway.
Amazing.
More specifically, it looks a lot like the Aztec eagle warriors who were based off of the Hoatzin bird. Interestingly enough, these birds actually have two claws where Hawlucha's hands are when they are still nesting so that they can climb up trees and escape predators and such until they're strong enough to fly. Weird. Now, I wish that was all the birds, but we still have a few more. Rowlet and Darktrix, but not their feathered evolution. I guess he's too spooky to be a bird. They swapped out his flying type for ghost. Even though they are all just totally barn owls. But sure, whatever. And there's also the Pueo owl, which is an endangered Hawaiian owl. And considering these guys live in Alola, which is based on Hawaii, and all the other starters here are all based on endangered things, the connection is easy to make. And finally, we have Pikipek, Trumbeak, and Toucanon, who are based off of what happens if you take a bird and made it a cannon. The first two forms are a pillated woodpecker who then thinks, hey, this beak thing is working out. What if I made it like 50% of my body mass? And then we end up with a bird that can't drink water correctly. The toucan. Anyways, now we get to go to the flying types that aren't actually birds. First up, we have Charizard, who's fire flying because he totally isn't a dragon. I mean, dragon is a super overpowered type for a Gen 1 starter anyway. But anyway, it could be because he's based off of the Draco lizard or the flying lizard, hence the flying type. Also, it's got wings. Gary, too. Gyarados is a large flying snake Chinese dragon sea monster thing. It doesn't have wings, but one of the reasons it's flying type is because of its origins and mythos surrounding its evolution. It's based on the Chinese legend of a carp leaping over a mountain or a waterfall or a gate, all depending on who you ask.
Like the sound
and
effects.
thus magically
Mario
becoming a
sound effects.
dragon. And I mean, after all, flying essentially is just leaping really, really far with a little help from some wings sometimes. Also, Gyarados is aerodynamic as heck, which helps with leaping far and swimming. Aerodactyl and Mega Aerodactyl, with its little weird goatee, are based off of flying dinosaurs, pterosaurs. And fun fact, there's a newly discovered genus of pterosaur that may have had its name inspired by Aerodactyl, as it was recently named the Aerodactylus genus. They actually look pretty
that's
similar.
cool. Pokemon fans that are
Minus the
archaeologists.
goofy face of this Pokemon. Dragonite is based off of a
That's
so fat dragon. Specifically, perhaps a wind or air elemental dragon, as it can fly incredibly fast and utilize electric attacks. But those tiny wings! How does it? I mean, it's pretty much like a bumblebee. Like, there's no way it should be able to fly. Next is Togetic and Togekiss. I always forget this weird bird plane thing exists. I guess it kind of looks like a fairy mixed with a bird. Probably something lame, like a dove, because it's Pokemon and everything fairy has to be all hugs and happiness. But I mean, I guess it flies. Why else would it be flying type? Okay. So, Pinsir does not fly. But when it Mega Evolves, it opens its wings that were already there and flies. Why would it only open its wings when it's Mega? Shouldn't it want to use those more often? I mean,
No, let's conserve its
real-life
strength.
beetles fly all the time. Mantine and Mantike are based off of rays, specifically the flying ray, which jumps out of the water all the time. Plus, this Pokemon kinda resembles a World War II fighter plane with its guns or Remoraid's, which are just pistols attached to its wings, pretty much. And also, there may be kite elements involved in its inspiration. And kites happen to fly. Lugia should really be water psychic. I mean, it's kind of the ocean spirit guardian thing. But if you look at it via alchemy, it's still kind of a stretch. But Lugia is the Aquilus to Ho-Oh's Phoenix.
Sounds like
They're
Luigi.
counterparts. So you got your bird in there, you got your magic. Boom!
Not great.
Reason
Name.
it's flying. Well, that and also the wind has a lot to do with ocean currents. Bagon is a lizard that really
Awesome hair.
wanted to fly, and because it wanted super hard, it turned into a dragon that could fly. It's Salamence, a super fast flying jet dragon. Rayquaza is the guardian of the air, the hemisphere, the ozone.
He reminds me
and
of
all
Shenron.
that. And in order to live up
okay.
in the
I see
ozone
it.
and guard it properly, you'd better have a good ability to fly. Drifloon and Driftblim are balloons that steal children. They are full of hot air
What?
and float. So flying.
We all float down
Sigilif
here.
is a sigil that's been
Guess so.
lifted. Ha. Okay, but really these Pokemon are based off of the Nazca lines, ancient massive lines dug into the ground for someone to see, probably the aliens down in South America. Specifically, it's based off of the bird Nazca line, which makes this a bird. I guess. Yveltal has many pronunciations. Only one of them's correct, and I do not know which one. Regardless, though, Yveltal is a giant bird wyvern thing of death. It could be based on the Celtic god of death, Morrigan, who happens to be a bird sometimes. Also, it looks kind of like a wyvern. And I mean, it starts with a Y. Wyvern. It's in the name. It also kind of looks like a Quetzal, which is also in the name. And it's a
cool
bird.
bird.
Many have also pointed to the eagle on top
Cool
of
mohawk
Yggdrasil, the
Quetzal's
tree of
got.
Thing
life,
is,
as an
rocking some cool
inspiration
hair.
as well. And next is Celesteela, who essentially is a rocket. And rockets love to fly. I mean, look at the shape. Plus, it's based on an old Japanese folktale about people that live on the moon. And how do you get to the moon without a rocket? Well, with magic, according to the folktale. Then we come to Shaman's sky form. Why a hedgehog
Looks
is
so
able to
proud.
turn into a dog and then fly is beyond me, but hey,
'Cause it's
it can,
awesome.
which is why it's a flying type
Totally
Pokemon.
awesome.
It can fly, though it doesn't really need those wing ear things
Puppy
to fly.
power. So cute.
Floats magically instead, which brings us to Pokemon that really shouldn't be flying type. Hence why there's a giant knot in the thumbnail. Well, that ain't clickbait. Though, looking ahead, all these Pokemon, they don't have the best reason for being flying type, but there's nothing else really better. Take, for example, Hoppip, Skiploom, and Jumpluff. They just kind of
Jumpluff?
They jump around, and they are so light that they float along the wind. So really, they are just weeds that fall, but
Sick.
fall for a really long time. Typically, a Pokemon being a certain type usually means they have a mastery over that thing or element. And these Pokemon are no masters of flying at all.
But they look happy.
Just get blown around everywhere because
Especially the
they're
little
so
pink
light.
ones.
Though the alternative is just another grass type Pokemon that's just mono grass. So I guess grass flying is fine. But then there's Rotom, fan version. Again, we
Oh,
see
nice.
Rotom not truly being what he claims. Flying this time, Rotom? Ha! The last time I saw a flying fan, it was when it was taken to Mars with a toaster and some other home appliances. But again, flying happens to
toaster.
work better than any
I only have
other
ever
type.
heard
Fans
that before.
typically don't fly,
Oh my God, you
but
had no
they
childhood.
do blow wind, and flying is basically the stand-in wind type, or air type, I suppose. So, there you go. Well, that's all,
End the video.
folks. Bird type, or wind type, no, flying type is all done. I sure hope a flying Eevee never happens. Or at least if it ever does, it's not just an Eevee that's a bird. We have enough birds. Oh man, or worse, what if it's like Shaman 2.0?
Hey,
Why did they have to do this to Shaman? It was so cute before. Until next time, never stop using
It's
your
so cool.
noggin. And
It's
thanks
like
so
red
much for
flower.
watching this series.
Makes me
Miss
think of like a
Danielle?
red cape. So like, oh, it's like a super puppy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I actually like the flying type, and I found the birds that he was describing to be very interesting as well.
I particularly enjoyed, I think it was called Swillow's side-eye. Swillow had so much attitude. Like he was a little bird that kind of looked like he was pissed to be a little bird.
Yeah, and we saw him in water as well, but like Banatike, just adorable,
So cute.
and a great name too.
Yeah. And I like the super puppy at the end. I mean, a hedgehog that becomes a dog. I mean, that is amazing.
Yeah, I don't understand why anyone would have anything against that.
Yeah.
A flying dog. I mean, it's great.
And like the footage from the animated show, he just looks so cute and happy. He was so happy to be a flying puppy.
Even though he didn't want to talk about birds, I felt like he talked more about the birds than he did like about the insects. Although the flying scorpion, that's nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Yes, it is. When he slips in some of these real world like video things and the inspiration of what they're based off of, my first thought was, where the hell does that live? Because I never want to go. I never ever want to see that thing.
You haven't seen them in the backyard?
No.
Okay. I won't point out their nest.
Don't. Nightmare fuel.
Yep, for sure. I mean, like, I wouldn't say any of them are like going to be my favorite of the Pokemon, but I still enjoyed them and thought that. I mean, you know, and I appreciated him committing to the song and doing it as well.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you know, especially not being a singer or whatever, and just going for it, and yeah, you know, having fun with yourself. I like that.
Definitely. I also I never thought of Charizard as anything other than a dragon. To me, he is
Yeah.
a dragon. And we just saw him in the fire type, so I'm sure this was probably touched on, but it still didn't really sink into my brain until he talked about it here in terms of him being flying and fire rather than a dragon type, and that it has to do with him possibly being based off of a flying lizard instead of an actual dragon.
Yeah, I think it's something like game related or lore related. Like, I don't know, like the dragons have to be like, you know, mythical, legendary beasts or something like that. Not that Charizard, you know, isn't deserving of that. I mean, Charizard's one of the most famous, you know, Pokemon that, you know.
Which, speaking of the mythical, the whole like bat wyvern thing of death,
Yeah,
that was cool.
agreed. The bats were great, especially the one with the big fat tongue
Yeah, that one
sticking
was cute.
out. Let us know some of your favorites down below in the comments, and check us out next Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for some more Pokemon Explained. And if you want to get ahead on those videos, you can get a month ahead right here by joining the YouTube membership. Hit the little join button down below. Thanks so much for watching every flying type explained, but just keep in mind
That our reaction is definitely not definitive.